So Marina, here I am. As we planned and as we thought and as we discussed, we like to put something together. Normally you write an autobiography, no? But now we have technology. So you are with a phone, iPhone, recording, and I am with a laptop which has intelligence and has jotted down the points that I should talk on. So let's talk. Most of my life story you know. But just to recall our memories, I will tell you some things which sometimes I may have left out. You know, I started I was born to a family of 6. I had 3 elder brothers and 2 younger sisters. I started schooling in somewhere in 60s, I think. I went to St. Joseph's College, a prominent school. St. Joseph's College, Dari Road, Colombo, a prominent school. And I think I left in 60, if I'm not mistaken, because my father was down south and he wanted me to go to a school where he attended. It was called St. Aloysius College, Cole. So I was taken to that college and put in the boarding house. I immediately, of course, I got into action. I started doing a lot of things for the school, for the priests. I was prominent there. I did a lot of things there in the college. And finally, in 1966, I left. At that time, I was the secretary of Coorman House, the boarding house in St. Aloysius College, Goa. But my father didn't keep me long. He used his whatever his knowledge or whatever it is, and got me a place to work in an estate in Bandaravilla. That's a real wonderful tea plantation estate. It was called Ezlabi Estate, Bandaravilla. Wonderful. It was amongst the tea bushes, one of the best estates. But as you know me, dynamic, I wanted to get about. It was boredom for me, so I left in a year's time almost. In 1968, once again, I got going. I joined a very reputed travel and tours company. It was called American Lloyd's Lawn Limited, a lovely name. I joined because they were doing travel and tours, so it's very interesting. But my boss soon put me into a branch office where we did ship handling, where we supplied food for ships. Interesting it was. Going about in boats, taking food, and it was very interesting. And I did that for some time. But my boss took me just after that and put me into the travel department. That was where we do ticketing and send people abroad and do ticketing. I did that for some time, and as you know, I achieved. With God's blessings, I achieved, and I went on a scholarship to Bangkok. Came back, and while being in the travel department, he soon wanted me to do tours because we were short of guides, and those days things were very difficult. So he put me in the tour department. In this tour department, I soon ran very tour there. I did a lot for the tourists because I went guiding. I didn't know anything about Sri Lanka, but I soon picked up. And when I went to the sites, I took guides from those places and I made the tours very, very interesting. I made the tourists get to know about Sri Lanka, much about their house style, even the poor people, even their laundries, their barber salons, their little houses, and I made it very interesting for tourism. Sometimes at that time the buses were so old they used to leak, but I used to make fun, and the tourists used to cover their holes with chewing gum or even open their umbrellas inside the bus. Latterly, after I finished a little bit of tourism, I told this to my boss, and we tried using, that time it was very difficult to get transport, but we used little explained our situation, and we were little by little able to get new vehicles, tourist buses, and we imported even the first two luxury buses at that time. I remember two Tata Benz buses with from India with fans and curtains. That was what we called luxury. I finally went in those buses. We did a lot of things, and I ended up with a very poor salary though. I was on a motorcycle, though we had so many luxury these things. Because he paid me very little, but he gave me one special thing. He sent me on educational tours. That means provided by the airlines. I went to many countries. Of course, we didn't have much money to spend those days because we couldn't take out money, but I went on wonderful tours. It included one trip, I remember, to Hawaii, where I went and saw the Pearl Harbor. Then another trip to Japan, where I went and saw Hiroshima. It was one. And here comes the greatest point in my life, the turning point of my life. I was allowed to interview and find a secretary, and comes walking into my office, a young lady, looking at her application. I saw her handwriting was fantastic. As I only scribbled. My handwriting was scratches. But this application was beautiful. So I asked her, is it your handwriting? She said instantly yes, and I immediately decided to employ her. And I will tell you that looking at her family background, I thought she was from a large family. Her father and mother must have played a good cricket game because they had a big mixed cricket team. But I selected the third of that family, an all-rounder. And to date, she's an all-rounder. From there onwards, it was going to work and whatever it is, and with a little poor salary, and so it was so disappointing sometimes at times. I used to discuss this with my new secretary Marina, and somewhere in 85, I think, we offered employment at a company, Sinot Trade Combined Limited, which did a lot of heavy machinery imported from Japan. We got into this company and got going immediately. God, as I said, God closes one, opens another. And here again another door is opened. And going to this company, seeing that they were doing a lot of imports, we opened a wharf department where we did our own imports. All our documentation was doing there. Then I saw them that they were always, whenever they went to Japan, they always took tea in packets. This sprung me an idea. I started manufacturing, making tea packets in gift items, like gift items. I added value into this tea. It was beautiful, started making, not at that time so beautiful, but nice, better than what was available. It was picked up very fast and it went into many parts of the world, little by little. To sell this tea, I opened also a tea boutique and called it the Te Khade Tea Boutique, where I made it in fully wattle and daub style. Because I remember these tourists like to see this wattle and daub. I made the tea boutique wattle and daub with an old boiler, with an old radio, and where the tourists can come or the locals can come, walk in and buy their tea after even tasting the tea. It was a wonderful thing. Many tourists started coming there. It was sometimes full up with something it was out of the ordinary. In the meantime, they had a tour department. I got that tour department going. And you must be knowing about Shoko Ashihara, this Japanese cult leader. That tour also came into us. We did not know their background. We brought them as a tour group here. They gave us a lot of trouble though. But still it was interesting, something very unusual. They came and went off, it was all right. In the meantime, we also went ahead. We exported spices to Italy. We did fish to Japan. We did cabs to Singapore. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. God had blessed us. But I had also in the meantime put in my application to go to Australia. And here comes, in 1961 I think, I get an approval to go to Australia. That I did. Of course, my Marina was not very happy about it, but I migrated to Australia. But I had my plans. It was a short spell. I returned in 6 months. And then I thought, my old company called me back. Marina was working there, but I thought and planned, and I said, we'll do something on our own. So somewhere in 1992, I think, we started a company, Ceylon Private Limited. You know, Ceylon tea was the world's best. I named my company Ceylon Private Limited. And together with that, I also operated a tour company, because we had a little tour experience. We called it tour planners. So we made tea in boxes, exported them, we got awards, we added flavor, we added different flavors, we had mango, banana, strawberry into our teas, made it very different. We got many international awards, and our teas were going abroad. It was being sent in many, many places. And whilst doing this, my early memory came of my tourism, my guiding days, and I built up on a 5-acre block of land just 47 kilometers from Colombo. I converted a little land into a village, a theme park, the first theme park in Sri Lanka. We called it Pasgama. Pasgama means, because the town was known Pasyala, so we called it Pasgama. And we made it for all to come and see the remote part of Sri Lanka. We had aborigines, like showing the aborigines how they did work, and we showed the brick maker, the tile maker, the wood maker, the laundry, everything was in remote stage. Even batik, even these clothes I'm wearing today, still were made there, batik. But all done in remote style. We had even an aborigines cave for a restaurant. And we served lunch or meals, all Sri Lankan meals. And we also had a kitchen band with kitchen instruments. It was out of the ordinary. But whilst doing this, we made a mistake in life. We joined a bulk tea company, because they were interested in our flavored teas and this and that. We came to an agreement that we will do our packeted teas, because they were a big name, they can sell more of our teas. And we agreed to do packeted teas and flavored teas, and they were doing, but they didn't keep their word. And finally they didn't give us any orders. But in the meantime, they started doing what we were doing, completely out of what they had assured us. So we quietly, finally decided to quit, because it was not bringing us much revenue. They were taking mostly all our orders. We left, and we had done already a 9 years long gap of work there. But we left, and then we were wondering what we were to do. So we started another company. We called it presentation packs, because we were doing teas in presentation packs. Here too, again, soon, with all the ideas we had, we put in much better flavors, much better designs, ceramic tea in ceramic pots, clay pots, in mat baskets, in jute and everything. It was completely different packagings. We won awards, one after another. And we were doing a wonderful business. In the meantime, a guide friend of mine one day walked into my office and told me, he had an inquiry for mattresses from Japan. I, of course, thought, again, God closes one, He opened some other door. He's given me another avenue. I asked Marina, I asked you, shall we go ahead? You said, yes, we will go ahead. So, of course, you never gave up. You gave me a push. You made my life so bright and took all my stress off, and you pushed me so much. So we went to the mattress business. And we had a big blue chip company that made the basic mattress. We took it from them, we bought it from them. and we laminated them. Can you remember, in our own stores? We covered them with a laminate so that they can be washed. We made one side hard, one side soft, which can be used for hospital beds, where the patient with bed sores could use the lighter side and the rough side. And we started doing mattresses Japan. It was so good that the Japanese invited me to Japan, and I took my guide because I didn't know Japanese, and where we were housed at Hilton Hotel. Imagine, Japanese Hilton Hotel. And they even gave us a trip to the hot springs. I still remember. We had a wonderful time in Japan. Finally, we had a tragic incident that came, the tsunami in 2004. It was a disaster. We didn't even know the meaning of tsunami at that time. But it washed away. Many people lost their lives down the coastal areas of Sri Lanka, and many were disarray, and it was this. But we appealed to many of our foreign friends by that time. You remember, Marina? We appealed, and within a couple of weeks, we were informed that they had shipped us container loads of material, clothes and food and medicines and tents and blankets, and all those things were shipped to us. It was very pathetic to see these things. You remember, we packed them in boxes, and ourselves, we took them to most needy places, and we handed over these boxes of food. It was such a joy to do this. It's here that we found that the children some were parentless and idle. So I just personally decided to learn a few tricks of the trade, little illusions and things like that way. That became big. That became a big thing, because wherever we went, we took little illusions and we started entertaining the children. The children were aimless. And we started teaching the children a lot of things. You see, we thought the children needed attention. In the meantime, a pastor who joined us, told me that I should come to Chicago, America. Oh, I was delighted. I hadn't been to Chicago before. I was delighted. And he said, come. And there was a festival called iFest in Chicago, where they taught puppetry, ventriloquism, and all this children's entertainment. I was taken there, and I learned many things. That is where I learned about my David. You will see here. Hello. I am looking after myself on this COVID. Okay, that's David there. Okay, I learned David. I also taught the children never to give up in life. An illusion. Just not to give up in life. Always think that they can lead. If you pray and ask God, you can go right up to the top. An illusion. Just to teach them and give them various ideas. That was wonderful. And up to this date, we are doing puppetry, ventriloquism, and Bible illusions for children wherever we go in Sri Lanka, looking after children and entertaining children as much as possible. So you see David there is a figure who always goes along with us and entertains the children and all. Whilst doing this, whilst going on like this way, we went to Australia. Again on a holiday. You and I, we both went to Australia on holiday. And I think we stayed for 6 months. You remember, we stayed with my sister Mari and Adrian, who I'll talk to you about later. They housed us and we had a wonderful time. This is where we met Pastor Jerome Lebroy of Church for the Whole Family in Newmamering in Victoria. And he was dynamic, wasn't he? He lifted our spiritual lives. He made us welcome, and he pushed us into everything that we did. He didn't give up anything. When we spoke about puppetry, he told us, you must do a puppet program. And I remember we soon got things together, and we did the first black light puppet program for Easter in his church. It was a sellout. It was wonderful. I think you remember, we did a lot there. And it was in this time we met one of our good friends, old friends from Sri Lanka, who was running some aged care center here. And he was talking to us, and we had some nice discussions. He said he had a sister who had a little bit of a small bread and breakfast guest house in Negombo, who want to sell it. And he told us, when you go back to Sri Lanka, to try and sell it. And we returned to Sri Lanka, went to this place. It was a beautiful place. It was a gold mine. It was by the beach, just 20 minutes from the airport in Colombo, in Negombo. And we took this over. We came to an understanding. And we took this over and we operated it. We turned that place from a little 4 or 5 room hotel to a 10 room, the guest house. We called it the Beach Lodge. And we made the rooms so wonderful. Some of the beds were like boats with mermaids, and we tapped toddy from the trees and gave it to the guests, and we made our restaurant with raw timber wood trees. It was wonderful, and within the 7 years that we were there, we brought it up to the Sinosha in Negombo. It was full many of the days, and we enjoyed bringing this hotel up into that standard. But unfortunately, in 2017, was it right, Marina? Yes, 2017, I got a sudden back pain, a spinal injury. You see, I brought a figure to show you. You to remember this figure. I always keep this figure with me. I want to show it to you now. See, a spinal injury. This spine, it was operated once or twice, and we really, and here was where you became my guardian angel. You cared for me, you watched over me, you looked after me, you did your best for me. But as I got healed, I was on a wheelchair. You didn't help. You took me to Dubai. You took me to Singapore. We went to the Universal Studios. We came to Australia also. We came to see Pastor Jerome in Australia. And we had a wonderful time here. And all on a wheelchair. You pushed me around. You said, don't give up hope. And I didn't. You were my strength. What you did for me. I'm so glad to tell this to you now. I don't think I have told you. You are my guardian angel. God has blessed me with someone to care for me and watch me. And up to me today, I'm still imbalanced. But you are there with me and you look after me and all. So my friends, I think I have told you all my story, Marina. I think I have told you everything. But I want to also add, like I said, one thing. When God closes one door, He opens many others. But I always said, I referred the Bible because you always told me, read the Bible. It has God's messages. I picked up a very good message in this. And I must repeat this message to you. It's in the Bible, in Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. And He has done. God has looked after us, blessed us abundantly, keeping us together, that we can serve together. You know, our saying is eager to serve, where we will keep on serving as far as possible. Unfortunately, coming back to Australia in 2020, I think, we came back here, but we got caught to the COVID, to the lockdown of COVID, an illness, an unseen enemy which struck many parts of the world. And we are still here in Australia. So, but we won't give up hope. We'll keep on helping. Our churches are all closed, but we will try to do something. We plan to settle in, and when we open, when the flights are open and the airports are open, we may go back to Sri Lanka to help the poor children, because that is our desire, no, Marina? We will keep on doing that, helping them till God calls us. Thank you for being my friend, my wife. You have been so trustworthy and honest and helpful to me. You have cared for me and watched over me. So very soon, we are going to stay with my sister who is a little further away from the church, but because church is closed, we are going away. We are going to stay with them for some time. And I must tell you, my sister, she has been very, very cooperative to me, and a jewel of a brother-in-law who is helping me in this recording. He is a little more technologically experienced, so he is going to put this into a cassette or a video or something and keep it for our memory. I think I have told you everything. David will be very happy to hear. So I will bring this to a close. It may be too long, but that's all I've got to say. Most of it you know. Thank you very much for being my friend and my loving wife. God bless you very much.